Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, how are we getting on? So, the day is here at last. The Fallout 76 roadmap for 2022 has arrived just this afternoon. So, it's got some cool things on it. It's got some things that I was hoping for, some things that the game definitely needs. But unfortunately, it's got a couple of things missing that we would have liked to have seen as well, which is kind of par for the course. But let's dive in and take a look at this thing. Okay then, yeah, so the roadmap has arrived. Twitter very helpfully didn't bother telling me about it, so you can guess how I'm feeling about Twitter right now. But nonetheless, I have stumbled across it. Google helped me out. And we have a very, very cool new graphic, and we have some stuff that I would have expected to see, and some stuff that we didn't expect, which is really, really cool. Unfortunately, as I say, there are a couple of gaps in here as well, which we'll talk about what they are and and the reasons for that, I guess, a bit further on. But let's have a look at this thing. So, first up, big shiny new graphic. Looks very, very cool. Really happy to see this. As usual, the artwork's up to the standard we would expect. It's been very, very good recently. Got a cool style to it, a nice vibe. But, as per, divided into spring, summer, fall, and winter. So, the usual. Seeing Expeditions is a bit further along in the year than I was hoping for there, but I suppose not terribly surprising either at that point. We've got Invaders from Beyond, Test Your Metal, Expeditions, The Pit, and Nuka World on Tour lined up for the year, so very, very cool. So, first things first, spring, Invaders from Beyond. This is the one that is arriving in a little over a week now, so 1st of March, which is what, 10 days off? 9 days off? 8 days off, something like that. Yeah, not very far off at all next week, so very, very cool to see that. So we are saving Appalachia from otherworldly, all-encompassing invasion, including public event takeovers, new random encounters, and a new seasonal public event, and more. So the more will include bug fixes, as per, it always does. But looking at the caption down below, we've got new public events, Fallout Worlds Update, and the new season, Season 8, A Better Life Underground, that is Vault-Tec themed. So, new public events is an interesting one. This one pops up a lot on this, and I've been saying for a while, one of the things I would definitely like to see is new public events, and they are scattered right the way through this, and it's always in a plural as well. So, hopefully, this means multiple new public events coming every few months throughout the course in 2022. And a lot of this is kind of day-to-day stuff, in a sense. It's stuff that we're doing on a daily basis in the game that is getting refreshed and getting new stuff added to it and that sort of thing, as opposed to really big sort of flagship stuff. But there's some of that too. But yeah, the day-to-day stuff being improved is perhaps not the most exciting thing ever, but it's definitely a good thing overall in terms of making your day-to-day experience more fun. So that's very, very welcome, I think. But yeah, multiple new public events coming would be very, very cool. Obviously, we've got the seasonal event mentioned, Invaders from Beyond, where the aliens arriving that we've seen on the PTS already. That's very, very cool. If there's more, I'd be down for seeing that. They haven't mentioned anything about what these might be, but yeah, it'd be really cool to see new ones added into rotation. Obviously, these are the ones that pop up every 20 minutes or so. They have a little exclamation mark on the map. So seeing some more of those would be cool, especially as with Legendary Crafting being added last year. Obviously, we have to engage with those events as the main way of getting legendary cores. Got it right that time. So, yeah, doing those frequently, and as part of seasons as well, obviously, is quite a big thing. So, good to have those refreshed. So, moving on to the summer, we've also seen a little hint of this in the PTS already, because apparently it's coming along nicely. Certainly looks to be. I enjoyed playing the Test Your Metal event on the PTS. So, yes, test your metal. Put on your armor, weapons, and grit to the test in multiple new heart-pounding public events. So the summer event primarily is public events again. So yeah, again, more stuff to do on a more day-to-day basis. So again, it's implying at the bottom there that there will be multiple of them. It's also implying it in the main thing. We've tried out the Test Your Metal on the PTS already. So we've got a new group of raiders, the Rust Eagles, I believe they're called. An offshoot of the Blood Eagles anyway, that are making robots. And the Brotherhood of Steel sent a team up there to do battle with them in an arena called the Metal Dome, which you can check out on the map already if you want to. It's just north of Fort Atlas. Very, very cool. And yeah, we'll be heading down in there to do a public event, and there's new rewards, there's new armor to come from it, and various tiers of success as per usual with these sort of things. And it's a good fun event in a really cool location, and a few people to chat to there as well, which is always cool. So that's what we can get over the summer, but hopefully we'll be getting a few more besides that we haven't heard anything about. Certainly looks like it, judging by the event-heavy nature of this roadmap, so Very, very cool. We've also got upgrades to Fallout First on the scoreboard, which is cool. And, of course, Season 9 arriving as well, which, yeah, as of yet, we don't know anything about. But, yeah, the current setup with Fallout First is a few milestone levels on the scoreboard, a few milestone ranks, rather. You get some extra stuff. It's not much. Nice to have, but it's not much. So I'm guessing the idea here is to make Fallout First a little bit more appealing to people, to put more things in there that are more worthwhile for players who have Fallout First when they're running through the scoreboard. And as I say, to give you access to more stuff as a Fallout First player. To basically, yeah, make that subscription seem a little bit more valuable. And yeah, a lot of people have been saying they would like to see more things going into the subscription to make it more worthwhile, which is fair. And I think this is probably one step towards that, but that will be cool in the summer. Definitely interested to see how they do that. Obviously, here's hoping it stays more on their cosmetic and nice things to have, as opposed to the game-enhancing things, because then you run the risk of pay to win. But Bethesda have avoided that so far, so fair play to them on that point, and I imagine they will continue to do that. But yeah, so not a huge amount other than these events going on in the summer, but if there's multiple of them, that will spice up the day-to-day gameplay, which is very, very cool. Moving on to the autumn, we have Expeditions: The Pit. So this is the really big thing on here, and obviously we've been waiting for this for over a year, probably a year or so at this point, and be about 18 months by the time it actually lands in September. So yeah, this is, I think, having a knock-on effect and sending ripples through everything else they're doing, just because of the sheer scale of it. So we got the trailer for The Pit back in the summer last year, it was July, I believe. Start of July, so by the time that The Pit actually lands in September, it'll have been over a year since the trailer, and probably at least 18 months of solid work on it to get this thing working and up and running on the part of Bethesda, so we can assume this is a really big project for them. I suspect from a certain perspective, from a player perspective, it maybe won't appear to be as big to us as it did to them, just because of the way this sort of thing's going to work. From Bethesda's perspective, they are not just working on a new location in the existing map, they are building a whole new map, albeit smaller, from the ground up. They've got to design it, build it, decorate it with all manner of stuff. They've got to populate it with creatures, old and new, I'm sure, and put people in there and factions and design those and put dialogue in there and record it, as well as putting in all the mechanics and the quests and things like that. And also there is some Appalachia side stuff as well to that will be added and changed and adjusted, and new missions and stuff that relate to expeditions that are coming in with all of this as well. So all in all, a massive lift, especially when you factor in obviously the testing and iteration on it and all of that stuff as well. So I suspect some of the absences we're going to touch on in just a moment are probably a result of the sheer scale of this from a development standpoint. Even if, relatively speaking, it's repeatable end-game content to the player that might not necessarily feel like a massive upgrade, the amount of work behind the scenes, I suspect, is going to explain a lot with what's going on here. But yeah, nonetheless, we know that's arriving in the autumn. The general gist will be you have to head around Appalachia to get fuel for probably your vertibird. I think we can take from this that, looking at the artwork there, that there is probably going to be vertibirds as our main means of transportation. Then we head out there and meet characters and stuff and do a mission. What's a mission that we are selecting from what we've seen from data mines so far before we head out there. So you go out there, presumably explore the area you're actually in. Whether or not it's timed, we don't really know yet. Might be, might not be. If it's not, that's great. It means you can explore while you're doing it. If it is timed, maybe you're going to have to accept you're not going to hit the timer while you explore a couple of times. That seems fair. It is repeatable after all. So yeah, well, we're heading out there doing that, going to a new location. Sounds from the trailer like there'll be new enemies. We know there's going to be new factions, new people to meet, that sort of thing already as well. So definitely going to be the big exciting thing. And I know we've all been crying out for some endgame content for a long time at this point. So the expeditions are definitely going to be that. They're also setting it up in a way that they can add new locations to this on down the line. So currently we're going to the pit, and there'll be multiple different missions and multiple different regions in the pit that we'll be going to. But they'll also be able to add whole new locations on down the line that are built into this system as well in future years. So yeah, very, very cool to see all of this coming, and it's finally arriving in September. So we've got the missions part of it, and we've also got new rewards and Season 10 as well, which not really surprising there. So new rewards, it looks like, judging by the artwork here and the little icon, we've got some construction-themed stuff, and there's been hints that the settlers, who have a very construction vibe themselves, have come down, at least some of them, from the pit, and that the faction that we're going to be meeting there is also going to be kind of construction-themed, maybe, it sort of seems that way. So it looks very, very cool, like there'll be heavy construction themes into maybe some of the rewards, stuff like that, if this artwork is anything to go by, which is very, very cool. The idea of this kind of cutting blade, circular saw type deal that we've got going on there in the artwork will be a very, very fun weapon. It looks like it'll be functionally quite similar to a chainsaw, but hopefully, you can make it legendary and it's a bit more effective, because we know how disappointing the chainsaws are. Real pity that, but it is what it is. But yeah, some new weapons of that style will be very, very cool and fun, potentially. And presumably new outfits, new armor types, maybe, and very, very cool things like that. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that one in the autumn. And last but not least on this bit, we have in the winter, Nuka World on tour. So this we've heard nothing about at all. Not a whisper of this one's crept out, which is not really surprising given that it's nearly a year away at this point. Not quite, but nearly. But at the same time, very, very cool. Nuka World was good fun DLC. I get the feeling it's going to be less about the raiders and more about the atmosphere, just judging by this tone here. But yeah, Nuka Cola, obviously a massive thing, so very, very cool. The fizziest show on Earth has kicked the irradiated dust off the tyres and hit the road. Next stop, Appalachia. So again, we have new public events. Great, more stuff to do in-game. We have Region Boss public events and Season 11. So take a look at the Nuka World bit first. My guess here would be a new seasonal event. It's what they dropped at the end of last year with the Night of the Moth and everything, Mothman Equinox. So my hunch is it'd be something along those lines. If it's a Nuka World on tour type thing, I would think that would work better as a seasonal event rather than anything else. They may have some other idea, but that will be my hunch there. We'll have to wait and see what happens as the year goes on. There's nothing actually to say one way or the other here, so... Not surprising, the further we get through the roadmap, usually the less details we get, because obviously the further out you go, the more likely things are to change, and the more they say, if things then change subsequently, the more people get upset about it. So, yeah, sparing on the details is usually the way they go, and it makes a certain amount of sense. So, new public events, again, this is the third of the 4 with new public events arriving. There's nothing listed for public events in the autumn with the expeditions, but for the other 3 sections we have, so very, very cool. Yet more stuff to do on a daily basis in the game and to engage with is definitely going to spice things up, very cool. And we have Region Boss public events, so yeah, interested in seeing what the details on this one are. My personal hunch is it's going to be like world bosses. Pure guesswork at this point, of course, but obviously regional makes me think, the Forest, Toxic Valley, Ashy, Savage Divide, Maya, and Cranberry Bog. Makes me think we'll get one in each of those, and it looks like it's going to be a public event style, so that would work well with, say, world bosses in other games. Looking at, say, World of Warcraft, I know Star Wars The Old Republic does that sort of thing as well. And it would be a good sort of high-level public event for people to jump in on, trigger, possibly a bit like Encrypted, something like that. Also, of course, with Scorched Beast Queen as well. So, similar vibe to that, but spread out all over the map and in each region. And again, adding more variety to the stuff we engage with on a regular basis. And if it is comparable to, say, Encrypted and the Scorched Beast Queen, then that will be a good addition because it's more endgame stuff to do, which seems to be day-to-day stuff and endgame stuff seems to be the big things that they're focusing on for 2022. Which is great. This is all stuff we've all been crying out for a long time, and it clearly is coming, so very, very cool. Obviously, Season 11, it's a season, it is what it is. And we don't know too much about the Nuka World stuff, but be interesting to hear what we hear as the year goes on. So, last bits and pieces, the couple of absences. Big thing that is obviously missing from this list is story-type content, circa, say, the Brotherhood of Steel questline, or the quest lines that came through Wastelanders, and clearly that's not here. Obviously there's going to be mini bits of story attached to various events here that are on this list. Invaders from Beyond has some, Test Your Metal might, don't know. There's certainly conversations and lore and stuff around it. The Pit is kind of got its own stories to it from what we can tell so far, so that'll be cool as well. And who knows about Nuka World at this stage, but obviously, in terms of big single story updates like Steel Dawn and Steel Rain and that sort of thing, it's not here. The other 2 things that I've spotted for the moment I personally, and I think a lot of other people were hoping as well, for an overhaul of the season system, and there's no mention of upgrades to daily ops either on here. Now, I think the story updates and the seasons are kind of going to go hand in hand, but the daily ops, their absence I wouldn't necessarily read too much into. Test Your Metal, for example, there's not vast amounts there apart from those public events, so it's possible that there may be some updates to daily ops on that update. That's where I'd expect it at this point, and possibly the winter one as well. Because by the time the summer rolls around, it will have been a year since we've had new stuff in the daily ops, so definitely the fact it's not there doesn't mean it's not coming, I guess is what I'm saying. There's other stuff that will be coming that is not mentioned on here either. This is obviously a high-level overview of what they're doing. So my guess on the daily ops front is that we will get some updates, maybe some new locations, that sort of thing coming throughout the year. I would hope to hear some confirmation on that from Bethesda at some point. We'll have to see, but that's my theory on that. So story stuff and seasons, I think both fall into the same category of stuff that's probably not going to change, not going to happen until sometime next year. Story, obviously, with its absence on the roadmap as it is. But I think the reason for that, as I said before, is just the pure scale of the pit and expeditions. Obviously, 18 months plus to get this done, and the whole new environment and locations and stuff, basically new map that they've got to build from the ground upwards. This is obviously taking them a very long time to do, and it's a massive lift comparable to, say, the way that Wastelanders was before that came out. There was a lot of slow time before Wastelanders came out, and obviously that was a massive game changer. I don't think Expeditions is going to change the game in the same way that Wastelanders did, but because we are leaving the map, and it means a whole new, as I say, starting from scratch almost for this particular update, I think the amount of work that they're having to do to make this happen is probably way more significant than, say, some of the other updates, perhaps even in some ways things like Steel Rain, Steel Dawn. So I'm guessing that's why we're not seeing it on here. The focus clearly from this is stuff we do on a daily basis and end-game content, and I think that's what the most regular players are engaging with the most often, so get stuff out for them and then do the big story later. Yeah, on the whole, I think I'm broadly happy with this. I don't think it's massively exciting, but I think it's a lot of stuff that will make a big impact sort of a piece at a time. So very, very positive in that regard, but not flashy, I guess, is the way I would put it. So yeah, I think that's basically everything I've got on this for right now. So I hope you found this one interesting and informative and that you enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes. Let me know what you think down below as well. I do very much appreciate. Down below in the description, you can find social media links, the merch store, and channel memberships as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in that way, I very, very much appreciate the support. It really, really helps out. So massive thanks to everyone who's done that. And of course, join us for live streams as well. We are, of course, playing 76 and working our way through some other bits and pieces as well at the moment. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.